What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here back with another video. Hope you're all doing well. In this one, I wanted to take a look at some players who the Raptors should consider moving ahead of next Thursday's NBA trade deadline. Yes, we're less than a week away before the trade deadline, and maybe the Raptors look a whole lot different past next Thursday. There's been rumors that the Raptors are open for business, and everybody not named Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, and RJ Barrett are up on the table potentially for a trade. So I'm going to speculate and tell you who I would personally like to see the Raptors move on from ahead of next Thursday. Before we dive right into it, everybody, do me a solid, hit a like on the video, and also please subscribe to the channel. We're just about at 1,000 subs, so if you guys can help me hit that on this channel, that would be awesome. You can check out the Raptors Nation YouTube channel and, of course, raptorsnation.com for all articles regarding the Toronto Raptors. So the trade deadline, is it going to be a busy time for the Raptors, or is Masai going to pull his classic, just waiting patiently and not rushing to make any further changes? Obviously, the Raptors have done their heavy lifting with the trades of OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam, but clearly this roster still needs some tweaking, and it still needs more of a shakeup. And we saw that in the Raptors' most recent blowout, embarrassing loss against the Houston Rockets. Look, the Raptors are in a rebuild. Yes, the Raptors are probably tanking at this point, but you still want to see them look somewhat competitive in these games. I mean, that loss against Houston was really, really bad. So we'll see if the Raptors do elect to make some more changes to this roster. So we'll start with the first guy who I think makes a lot of sense in terms of the Raptors moving, and that is Bruce Brown. As soon as the Raptors made the trade with Pascal Siakam going to Indiana, and they got Bruce Brown as, I guess, the main piece name-wise in that trade, I knew Bruce Brown wasn't going to be a Raptor for long. Obviously, the Raptors made that trade more about the 3 first-round picks than anything else. Bruce Brown, I mean, this is a guy that can help any contending team right now. You can put him on any roster, and he'll immediately make an impact. He's that type of plug-and-play player on both sides. So the Raptors, they reportedly want a first-round pick and a quality player for Brown. Teams like the Lakers, Knicks have come up, even the Mavericks, Bucks. So I do think there's a big chance that Brown is moved ahead of the deadline because, like I said, a contender could use Brown for a playoff run, and it doesn't make sense for the Raptors to keep Brown. I mean, he is a good player, but he's 27 years old, doesn't fit the Raptors timeline. And, if the Raptors can cash in on Brown, on a deal for Brown and get a first-round pick, that would make a lot of sense for the rebuilding Raptors. Another player who I want to see the Raptors move on from, Gary Trent Jr. Now, this might come as a surprise to many, but personally, I know he's still young, but Gary Trent Jr., I don't see as a long-term fit with the Raptors. He's having a down year. He's very inconsistent. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's going to want to get paid this summer. It doesn't make sense for the Raptors to bring Trent Jr. back. I have not seen enough that suggests that Trent Jr. can be the long-term starter on this team. And I think in a perfect world, the Raptors could hope that a guy in Grady Dick, who I know is having his struggles right now, but I'm not ready to give up on him yet, could eventually replace the role of a Gary Trent Jr., even if it's not as a starter, but a guy who can be a key piece from off the bench. Because Gary Trent Jr., I mean, from off the bench as a starter, we've seen it, very inconsistent. And when his shooting isn't going for him, he's a liability. He doesn't do enough of other things that's going to help the Raptors win games. And it's either he's on or he's really off. Those types of players are really hard to keep long-term and pay up for. So Raptors, I know they traded Norman Powell for Gary Trent Jr. a couple seasons ago, but the move for Gary Trent Jr. just didn't pan out the way that I thought it was and the way that many Raptors fans thought it was. So I know he's young, but I don't think it makes sense for the Raptors to bring back Trent Jr. So unrestricted free agent, he'll have the option of going wherever he wants, just as was the case for Pascal Siakam and OG. So instead of paying him or running the risk of losing him for nothing, it makes sense to trade him. The other player who I think the Raptors should move on from ahead of next week's trade deadline, Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was brought in as kind of like that transitional guard because the Raptors were in a weird time in the summer where they had lost Fred, but they didn't necessarily signal for a rebuild. They were in this weird middle place of, okay, we lost Fred. Maybe we can still go for it with our guys, with OG, Siakam, Barnes. So they brought in Schroeder as kind of that placeholder. But obviously the Raptors, they're nowhere near contention. This is a team that is the sixth worst team in the NBA right now, and they're not looking to go for it. So Dennis Schroeder, I mean, it would make sense to trade him. A contending team could use him from off the bench. He was a big piece of the Lakers run last season, so maybe the Raptors could get something back for him. And then another veteran on the team who I think the Raptors should elect to move on from before next week's deadline is Chris Boucher. That is a guy who has come up in rumors involving the Celtics. He could give a team like the Celtics looking to make a long playoff run some front court depth. Boucher obviously could be a piece from off the bench. So that's another guy who doesn't make sense in the Raptors' long-term plans. And let's see if the Raptors end up trading him. So those would be the main guys I would like to see the Raptors move on from. Obviously, you can continue the list. A guy like McDaniels, he doesn't make sense on this team long-term. And then the other player on this team that is still kind of, iffy, where like a lot of fans want to see him back. A lot of fans want to see him be moved as well, is Jakob Poeltl. Obviously, the Raptors traded for Poeltl last season in a win-now move. A lot has changed a year later. This team is not looking to win now. Poeltl doesn't want to be a part of a rebuilding situation or a tanking situation. So, maybe the Raptors even try to trade Poeltl a year later and get something of value back in return. A team like OKC, could they look to get aggressive and go after a veteran big who's going to help them in a playoff run? So that's another name who could be in trade talks as well. So basically everybody on the Raptors, I would say, is a possibility to be traded at this point, except, those three untouchables. And I would even say Grady Dick. I don't think the Raptors are going to give up on Dick this early into his career. So other than that, I mean, everybody could get traded before next week. And I said it, I would love to see the Raptors go on a full-on fire sale. There's no way in waiting this thing out. Get these deals done, get some more assets, get picks. But at the very least, the Raptors should definitely strongly consider moving those four players that I listed at the top, that being Bruce Brown, Gary Trent Jr., Dennis Schroeder, and Chris Boucher. So that is my take on all of this. Raptors Nation, who do you want to see the Raptors trade before next Thursday? What deals do you think get done? Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't new. That is it for me. This is Lucas signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay safe.